The Trump administration is coming for your marijuana. Now, the White House has been recently hinting at a crackdown on places where recreational marijuana has been legalized at the state level. In fact, I've got some video here of White House spokesman Sean Spicer. Let's take a look.
There's a big difference between that and recreational marijuana. And I think that when you see something like the opioid addiction crisis blossoming in so many states around this country, the last thing that we should be doing is encouraging people. There is still a federal law that we need to abide by in terms of the medical, when it comes to recreational marijuana and other drugs of that nature. So I think there's a big difference between medical marijuana, which states have the states where it's allowed in accordance with the appropriations rider have set forth a process to administer and regulate that usage versus recreational marijuana. That's a very, very different subject. And I think, Shannon.
All right, so let's break it down. So why are they talking about marijuana in connection to the opioid crisis? Well, this happens to be a telegraph of what the administration plans on doing. Now, first of all, of course, comparing legal marijuana to the opioid epidemic is absolutely ridiculous. They're nothing alike. In fact, some people do use marijuana to try and help them get off of those opioids, to get them off harder drugs, and not the other way around. So this comparison is complete and utter bullshit. Now, furthermore, later on in the conference, he also said, quote, "I do believe that you'll see greater enforcement of the federal marijuana laws," while adding the exact policy is a question for the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice, you mean the same Department of Justice that Jeff Sessions runs? That Department of Justice? Uh-oh, we got a problem. Because former Senator Sessions, now the Attorney General, has not been a fan of legal marijuana. He's not a fan at all. In fact, last April he said, quote, "Good people don't smoke marijuana." So if you smoke marijuana, by definition, you are a bad person, according to Jeff Sessions. And that marijuana was a very real danger that is not the type of thing that ought to be legalized. So he made his views very, very clear. In fact, when Colorado and Washington and some of the other states moved to legalize marijuana, Sessions called that, quote, "a tragic mistake." Furthermore, during a Senate floor speech, he said, quote, and this was President Obama talking about this, he said, "You can't have the President of the United States of America talking about marijuana like it is no different than taking a drink. It is different. It is already causing a disturbance in the states that have made it legal." You know what I have to say about that? Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Absolutely wrong. Look, the one thing that he's right about is that it is different than taking a drink. Yes. Why? It's because, not because of what he points out. It's because that alcohol is actually more dangerous than marijuana. It is more deadly than marijuana. It's worse than marijuana. And as far as the disturbance goes, the only disturbance legal weed creates is an increase in tax revenue from the states and more people visiting the local Taco Bell. Not only that, but more positives about legalizing marijuana is that it's hurt the cartels. It's hurt the drug cartels and actually made them switch to try and traffic harder drugs. So, and look, there's still a concern when it comes to that, of course. And the opioid epidemic, there is a major concern there. But again, you don't solve that by criminalizing other drugs or continuing to enforce what's on the federal laws right now, which I believe are absolutely wrong. They're wrong-headed, it's wrong policy, and it ends up hurting more people. And yes, while it is illegal on the federal level, it is legal in some of the states, and I thought we believed in states' rights. I'll get to that in a second. Now, the whole thing pretty much is, again, the Trump administration signaling that the Justice Department, so-called Justice Department, are going to start raiding states that legalized recreational marijuana. Again, California, Colorado, Washington, other states. Interestingly enough, to go alongside this, and a little bit of a side note, Trump's also rolled back Obama's reform on private prisons. Now, what does that say to me? Those two things are tied, okay? They need prisoners to fill those beds. Oh, and look, we're just going to happen to be tougher on weed. Not a coincidence, friends. Not a coincidence. What they did is they just gave an enormous gift to private, for-profit prisons. And aside from that, you also have the sheer hypocrisy of ignoring states' rights. Again, it's hypocritical because they literally just made the states' rights arguments to strip transgender children of protections inside of schools. This is gross, it's hypocritical, and of course, unfortunately, everything I expected from the Trump administration. And it's funny because during the campaign, there were some people out there that said, oh, you know what, Trump's going to be okay on weed, man. I mean, yeah, Trump, he doesn't really care about it. Well, they also thought that Trump wasn't going to go for the LGBT community. Well, it turns out you were wrong. Iceberg. We just hit it. No, and why is he doing this? Because of who supports him. Evangelical Christians. They voted for him en masse. They hate drugs. They hate gay people. So there you go. And they also hate freedom. And what Trump is doing is that he's just repaying the people that were the most loyal to him. Remember, loyalty is a number one quality Donald Trump looks in people. If you were loyal to him, he will be loyal to you. So if you thought the Obama Justice Department was bad on raiding legal marijuana dispensaries during his campaign or during his presidency, and I certainly criticized him on that as well, watch out. Sessions under Donald Trump, it's going to be far worse. Far worse. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.